Alright, all praises unto Yahweh Shemi Hawashai. Double honors to the apostles of GMS and honest you brothers will be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Alright. I'm going to get into some scriptures and it's things pertaining to teaching this truth in its purity. Alright. Not adding, philosophies into the doctrine. Alright, things that you learn, the scripture pretty much talks about how when you come into this thing, you're supposed to put off the old man, alright? All of that stuff that, in fact, scripture goes on to say that all of that worldly knowledge really is almost disinformation. Really is actually working against the truth, because everything that's in the world, man, the lust thereof and so on and so forth, that's all things against the Yahweh Shemi Hawashai and the spirit of Yahweh Shemi Hawashai. Alright, we know that Esau, the so-called white man, set up certain doctrines out there basically to be a stumbling block. Alright, so I put some scriptures together, but the way it's looking right now, the precepts I'm thinking, man, I might just go in the spirit to where, I might get back onto this, but pretty much, man, alright, you ain't gonna have it to where, Lord ain't gonna have it to where the elect men of the Most High is gonna be plucked out of his hands, alright? You ain't gonna have it to where those wayward doctrines of these different guys be pushing forth, where is it a flat earth doctrine, of which that has nothing as pertaining to the salvation of our people, alright? That's vain, that's vanity, man, alright? It's it's a dude coming into this thing trying to prove a point, alright? Trying to be that person that he wanted to be in the world, alright? So let's get into the scriptures. I'm gonna start off in the book of John, the 17th chapter, alright? And then I'm gonna work my way around in some fashion. Alright, so this is the book of John, the 17th chapter. The point's in the 9th verse, but I'm gonna start a little bit higher than that. Okay, so this is the book of John 17, starting from the verse. I start from the 8th verse. It says, "For I have given unto them the words that thou hast given me." So Yahweh Shemi Hawashai, alright, because the scripture talks about how the Lord, came in the volume. He's gonna come in the volume of the book. So Yahweh Shemi Hawashai is going to where the words of the Most High, as has set forth from the foundations of the earth. Alright, they was gonna be given unto the elect men, man. Alright, so it says there, I've given unto them the words which thou hast given me, and they have received them. So not only did the word was going to go forth, they was actually going to receive them. Why? Because the 2/3 was going to reject the knowledge. What's the proof of that? When King David was on the scene, he said what? That their tables become a snare. Matter of fact, when you go to the book of Isaiah, the 6th chapter on the 9th verse, what does he talk about? It talks about how certain people, right, within the house of Israel, all right, was going to go up on basically a curse was going to be put upon them, all right, up until the time, right, when the Lord was going to return and destroy this society, man. Right? Because Isaiah said, so how long? He said, till the cities be laid waste. So they ain't going to understand, all right, they wasn't going to get the knowledge, right up until the time, they wasn't going to get the fullness of the picture right up until the time when the Lord was going to come on the scene, all right, and this society be destroyed. Now let me get into the book of, I'm going to jump around, like I said, it's going to be in the book of Proverbs, the 1st chapter. Right, this the book of Proverbs, the 1st chapter. I'm gonna start at the 20th verse. All right, and we get into this a lot, but it's important. These are the bread and butter scriptures. All right, to where when Esau comes and he's got pulling all kind of wrath, that's what you're gonna be pondering on. Case in point, when Yahushua was on the scene, all right, pretty much when Esau, when Satan came up to him, what did he do? He battled him with the foundation, with the scriptures, man, with the laws, man. He said, serve me and I'll give you all of these kingdoms. And what kingdoms was he talking about? Go to the book of Daniel, right? It talks about how he was going to have the Babylonians, right? The Medo-Persians, right? And so on and so forth. Now, certain ones of those kingdoms are already played out. But when Satan came up to him, he said, I was going to give you all of these. Because does that prove, that goes to prove that Yahweh Shemi Hawashai ain't been ruling as a kingdom within his people, all right? For all of these different kingdoms. Now, we had a period of time when we was in power, but ultimately the Lord just did that to fulfill what it talks about in the book of Revelations, how Esau was going to be shut up, right, for a period of 1,000 years, right, out there in the bottomless pit, which we know as Europe, all right, and then ultimately he was going to come back into power, which is what we have right now, man, to serve his to serve his time and power, and to show these people this is what happens when you have the wicked in power. All right. So this is the book of Proverbs, the 1st chapter on the 20th verse, and it says, "Wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets," starting first with the elders, right, the men underneath them, and so on and so forth. You got to wear wisdom, which is the ability to make good judgment based off of all the scriptures, all right, because you ain't going to be able to make good judgment reading out of the Quran, man. You ain't going to be able to make good judgment reading out all of these different books and these different philosophies, man. All right, the only way you're going to make good judgment as pertaining to the scripture, as pertaining to, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, is by what? By the words, which, as we're reading in the book of John 17th chapter, right, by the word that the Messiah was going to push forth, and that word was going to be preached in the streets, man. All right, matter of fact, when you go to the book of Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, around about the 13th verse, it talks about how the whole duty of man, right, talking about, you got guys talking about what's the purpose of life. The meaning of life is written within the scriptures, man, to serve the Messiah, right, and fear his commandments. So he says, do a certain thing, you're supposed to do it, man. All right. There was a account within the history where a particular king was supposed to kill another Edomite king because he had taken them over. All right, but when he had mercy on him, what did the Messiah do? Although he had the victory of the battle, the Messiah put him to death, man. All right, so the whole duty of man is to fear the Messiah and keep his commandments. And here's the trade-off for that. Going back onto the laws, what did the Lord say? If you fear the Messiah, if you keep his commandments, you was going to dwell on the earth, all right, man. All right, but since we didn't fear the Messiah, we didn't keep his commandments. Jeremiah the 17th chapter on the 4th verse, it says, "Thou shalt discontinue from thine heritage," right? "And you shall serve your enemies," man. And that's the situation that the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans are in right now, man. They're in all diverse different lands, and here it is. They might look like the other nations. They might look like Edomites, Ammonites, and so on and so forth. But out there in India, right, you got certain Jakes amidst them, right, known as dotheads. And pretty much they're the lowest ranking of all the people, and they're treated just like what? Like the Negroes out there in America, man. Why? Because they're the same people, man. Right? Because going back onto the scriptures, going back onto the law, right, you was going to have a diaspora, a dispersal of the people, right, as a means of, as a part of the curses that was going before the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, which are the 12 tribes of Israel, all right? So the scripture says, "Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the street, she crieth in the chief places of concourse, in the openings of the gates in the city, crying, saying, how long you simple ones, how long you simple Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans," man. And I bring this scripture out all the time, man. But it's the truth, man. How long you simple Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, all right, gonna love simplicity. Now let's jump a little bit, and gotta keep track of all of these precepts, but let's jump a little bit to the book of Isaiah, the 6th chapter, because the question was posed there, right there. Well, how long are you simple Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans going to be watching twerk videos? All right, going to be watching the latest hip hop, controversy out there. All right, and the ironic thing is, right, you got these Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, Jake, Israelites. They're into music or sports and so on and so forth, but the spirit of those different things right now is at the lowest point it's ever been. Why? Because the scripture talks about how the doors of music was going to go down and so on and so forth. All right, how you was going to have it to where the downfall of this society was going to play out pretty much on every platform measurable, man. Whether that's in the music industry, the food industry, you got Esau poison all kind of food right now. Why? Because he's bringing forth that vibration of death, man. He's bringing that vibration forth of destruction. Why? Because that's his spirit, man. His spirit is to bring forth destruction, man. All right. Now let's get this within the book of Isaiah, the 6th chapter, and the 9th verse. It says, He said unto me, go and tell this people, he indeed, but understand not. So you got the prophets of the Most High, because the scripture talks about how the prophets of the Most High weren't going to be removed into a corner anymore. All right, hear ye indeed, you hear them, right? But what does the scripture say? The scripture says, but understand not, right? See ye indeed, but perceive not. So you got guys that seeing the elders talking about double elders to the apostles of GMS and so on and so forth. All right. Of which you're supposed to give double honors to the elders of GMS, but you're supposed to do that in sincerity, man. So certain guys are just doing it in a mocking, like a mocking fashion, man. They're doing it because they're parrots, man. All right. But scripture talks about how you're supposed to do certain things. Really, you're supposed to do everything in sincerity. You're supposed to do it in purity and in sincerity, man. Not thinking some wicked thoughts in the back of your mind. Because if you're coming up and you're coming up against, pretty much you're coming up against your Yahweh Shai. All right, but see, it's only manifested because now you think you got the arsenal, right, to come up against the elders. All right, you think you got the arsenal to come up against the doctrine of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So now you go forth. That means really you was thinking about it for a period of time, man. All right, that means you was never sincere, man. All right, a guy just doesn't, boom, flip. Now the Most High could do that, but really that takes time, man. All right, so that for a period of time you probably thinking, look, hey, hey, I don't think they're right on that, but you just kept your mouth shut and kept on mocking, man. See, that's a sign of a guy that's gonna be destroyed. If you got them thoughts, man, you gotta rebuke them thoughts, man. All right. So here is back in the book of Isaiah, the 6th chapter and the 9th verse, and said, "Go tell this people, hear ye indeed, and understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not." So you're seeing all kind of things happening, whether it's being the martial law being prepared out there in these different countries, man. Right, whether it's the thing that's happening out there between Russia and America, you're seeing all of that, but you don't understand it, man. You don't understand that's what's written within the scriptures, man. All right, a lot of these people gonna see famines, man. All right, but they don't understand that's actually written within the scriptures, man. In the book of Mark the 13th chapter. Right, you got it to where you got rumors of, well, that's written within the scriptures, man. That's a fulfillment of prophecy, man. Right, but see ye indeed, but perceive not. All right, so you're seeing the men of the Most High coming out here, breaking these things down. All right, then on top of that, you're seeing these things actually play out, not in like a long period of time, because they came, going back prior to 2008 and so on and so forth. You had it to where, prophecies were made, breaking down in the scriptures and so on and so forth. But it might have taken a year for that stuff to play out. Now it's like you watch the elders, or one of the men, underneath them, all right, or really the men of the Lord. You watch their videos, right, and boom, the thing might play off in the next day, man. All right. Cause what, man? Cause we're in that time where really it was tiring back then, but we're in that time when things are speeding up, man. And the scripture says even at this point they wasn't gonna perceive, man. All right, because it goes on to tell you when they was gonna perceive and understand these things, right? So this is what the Most High said in the 10th verse. It says, "Make the heart of this people fat, make their ears heavy, and shut up their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, right, and hear with their ears." So the Most High put a certain curse upon these people to where they gonna see it, but they wasn't gonna perceive it, man. They was gonna hear it, but it was gonna go like it was likened unto the phrase like they say, it was gonna go through one ear and out the other, man. All right. So it says that make the heart of this people fat. All right, lest they see with their eyes, all right, and hear with their ears and understand and with their heart and convert and be healed. Because ultimately, what happens is when pretty much the scripture talks about how, book of St. John 6:63, scripture talks about how the word of the Most High quickens, man. It makes you alive. So you're dead. Pretty much you got these people walking around, they think they're alive, they're actually dead. And what's the proof for that? When you come into this truth, right, the spiritual man becomes alive, man. He's quickened. All right. So the scripture talks about how he's gonna heal you. He's gonna heal you from that state of being dead, man. All right. Right, he's gonna heal you from all kind of ailments and so on and so forth. Because we get into the the herbs and so on and so forth. Now we understand there's only so much you can do. He so is in power, all right. But you was gonna get healed from certain things, man. All right. Also, ultimately, it's the healing of your mind, your spirit. Because why? Because you was in a state of being dead, man. All right. But the scripture said they, the 2/3 weren't gonna get that healing, man. All right. And he says, "Then said I," this is Isaiah responding, "Then said I, how long? And he answered me, until the cities be laid waste and without inhabitants, and the houses without man, right, and the land be utterly destroyed." So, I said it was going to be in the breath when this destruction takes place. But ultimately, really, if the houses are uninhabited, right, if the cities be laid waste, then it stands to reason that the people that were in those houses and within those cities are destroyed as well. So really, they're going to get it on the other side. Now, that's fulfilled within the scriptures. When you go to the book of Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, no pictures, please. All right, Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. When you go to Hebrews, the 8th chapter, where it talks about how the Most High was going to put those laws, statutes, commandments within our minds, man. All right, and we was going to be programmed to be doing right. Okay, which also ultimately, when you go and get onto the understanding of the laws, statutes, commandments, that means you was going to be in a perpetual state of being blessed, man. Okay. So let me finish this up in the book of Isaiah, this 6th chapter and 11th verse. It says, "Then said I, how long? And he answered me, until the cities be laid waste, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolate, and the Lord hath removed man from far away, and they shall be a great forsaken in the midst of the land. All right, so you're gonna be a great forsaken in the midst of the land. So hey, a lot of people gonna get shaken up. They're gonna get thrown around with them by way of them ICBM nuclear missiles, the famines, and so on and so forth, which are all the instrument of the Most High's judgment, man. Scripture talks about the Lord's indignation. Now, indignation, right, and just straight up wrath, right, is kind of indifferent, right, because indignation is wrath in a righteous fashion, man. That's why the scripture talks about in the book of Amos, the 9th chapter, which I'm going to get in a minute when I go into the precepts pertaining to the elect, all right? But pretty much the scripture talks about how the Lord was going to destroy. His eyes are upon the sinful kingdom, man. That's what the scripture says. So when that anger comes, when that wrath comes, it's going to be in a righteous fashion. Why? Because you've been warned, you didn't take heed, but ultimately you didn't take heed because the Most High set it up so you don't take heed. All right? Now this is back in the book of Proverbs, the 1st chapter, and the 21st verse. It says, 22nd. How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicities, and scorners delight in scorning. All right, and it says, and the fools hate knowledge. Now we just seen that was going to play out, right up until the time they was going to come on the other side, because hey, the sea is going to be laid waste. All right, and that's spoken about within the book of Mark 13th chapter. Is it Mark the 13th chapter? It might be Mark the 13th chapter, where when the Lord Himself, Yahushua, He said, look, all of these great buildings that you're showing me, man, they ain't going to be even left one stone upon another. That's how bad it's going to be, man. That's how bad it's going to be. He said there's going to be literally not left one stone upon another, man. All right? So you got these you got Esau building up. Hey, and that's in the book of Malachi, the 1st chapter and the 4th verse. All right? It says how Esau was going to go out there, right? He's going to build up the desolate places, America and so on and so forth, Europe and so on and so forth. Those are all desolate lands before the Edomites came up in it. All right? But really, Europe, you had it to where Jakes were ruling in Europe, man. All right, so you have places where castles already been built up by the way of the Black Death, which is a curse really that fell upon Jake, all right, because they were doing all kind of wickedness, of which Esau came, all right, and pushed that wickedness even further. But really, he got it from us, right? Namely, the church system, right? But it was a church system in wickedness. Jake said that, right? You got it to where people talking about the Illuminati is Esau and so on and so forth. Really, Jake set all of them things up, man. Right, the scripture talks about how Israel is the former of all things. All right, even in wickedness, right? Jake will surpass Esau, man. That's why 2/3 of the 12 tribes of Israel is going to be destroyed, man. All right. So it says here, and the fools hate knowledge. It says, turn you at my reproof, and behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you, and I'll make known my words. So you turn out the reproof of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you get it to where you get cursed out and so on and so forth, and you get told that you ain't living right. All right, hey, sometimes it comes as a shock because you think you're on point, man. But that's where the humility side of things comes in. That's why the scripture says the meek is going to inherit the earth. Because if you're in a meek state, if you're in a humble state of mind, right, and you got to where someone's going to tell you, look, that's what you thought you believed, right, and this is where you're going off. And you turn at that reproof, and really that's when the Most High begins to deal with you, because you're in that state of humility, man. That's when the Yahweh Shem Yahushua pushes that, that spirit forth, man. Right, and then you get the understanding of the scriptures, you get certain revelations being opened out to you by way of period of time and so on and so forth. But really, you just you're gonna be weaned from the milk, man. Isaiah the 29th chapter and the 8th verse. All right, you're gonna be fed with the milk first, and then when you come up on the level, you might be able to deal with the meat scriptures. But the meat, the strong meat's not for everybody, man. The strong drink's not for everybody. All right, certain guys just need to relax with whatever level they're at, until the Most High build them up onto the next level. All right, so this is back in the book of Proverbs, the 1st chapter on it, because you got guys trying to go, too deep, All right, they're trying to reach out for the next breakdown. They're trying to really, the Most High is already set up meant to give you the breakdowns. All you got to do is study it, understand it, add on to it, but things of the same fashion. For instance, if you're in a maths class and you get taught calculus, you ain't just gonna be able to break down calculus in that one exact fashion, man. You're gonna apply that calculus to every form of that that can come across. For instance, if you get taught how to add 1 + 1, right, then you should, by definition, be able to add 2 + 2, man. You don't have to now go and delve into some other, delve into string theory just because you got taught 1 + 1. You gotta get the next breakdown, man. And that's what you got right now. You got guys trying to get into, too deep, man. Right, when you really got the teachers there and you just stay within that fashion, or within that fraction of the stuff that you've been taught, man. Now here it is, the Most High will give you certain revelations, but ultimately, some of those things you gotta hold back until the elders reveal it, and that's why the scripture talks about let every man be persuaded in his own mind, because when that comes into your mind, for instance, take the example of Yahushua and how he came back as Isaac, and how he came back as King Solomon, and how he came back as Yahushua. That was all the same individual in the reincarnation. All right, you take that for an example. Now you might have never known that before. All right, but you might have thought it because the scriptures is there. But that's just the Yahweh Shem Yahushua supping with you. Now when the elders push that forth and it's the first time you hear it, and it's the thought that you have, that actually builds your spirit, man. That's how you know the Most High is actually dealing with you on some kind of level, man. All right, but when you're out there trying to break down stuff that's not even pertaining to the salvation, man, that's dangerous, man. You know, that's dangerous, and you can see the results of that. Guys are being cut off, man. Guys are being left out there, man. All right, so let's get back into the scriptures. This is the 24th verse. It says, because I have called and ye refused, and I have stretched up mine hand and no man regarded. So we're the Most High stretching out. We are the fulfillment of the Most High stretching his arms out to you guys, man. We're the fulfillment of that. But see, the Most High said no man regarded. All right, the scripture talks about how no man regarded. Where here it is, you got to where you got camps popping up all over the place, right? That's likened unto the Most High reaching out his hand onto these different jakes out there. All right, and no man regarded. So what's the Most High gonna do with that? He's gonna destroy you by way of that, man. All right. So it says here, because I have called and ye refused, and I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded, but ye have set not all of my counsel. So when we brought forth that counsel, the Most High told you ain't supposed to be eating pork. All right, you ain't supposed to be sleeping with another man's woman. That's a big thing amongst the Israelites, man. They want to sleep with another man's woman, man. All right, that's technically, according to the scriptures, that's defiled land. Now the scripture